Now, if you're watching this video, let me preface this with two things. One, I can't fix the lights. Sorry. That's just, until I have a little bit more money stashed away, I can't really do nothing about this. Sorry. So try and grin, bear with me. Maybe laugh at it if you want. If it makes you laugh, cool. And I'll preface it, and this is the biggest preface it to etch into your minds. When it comes down to it, Death End Request, I went into expecting to hate it. I was expecting myself to be hugely disappointed, bored, or a mix of both. I was neither. Cool. When it comes down to it, Death End Request is basically the horror game for pansies like me. If you're a yellow-bellied coward, this is the only horror game you could probably be blackmailed into playing or being convincing yourself to play. Or if you're someone who happens to be both a pansy, a masochist, and a sadist, you're definitely going to be willing to play it then, because you get to torture yourself. And who doesn't love torturing themselves? What? Oh, that's just a me thing, that's right. I forgot that. When it comes down to it, Death End Request is a kind of wild ride. No, not for the reasons you might expect. Death End Request, like I stated earlier, is basically a horror game, a fear inducer for pansies. To people who are hardcore fans of the horror genre, you're going to hate the game. You're probably going to hate the game. There's not huge, giant, mass, hardcore fear-inducing. At most, there's discomfort and some spooky spectral crap. But that's it. That's as bad as it gets, really. Now, this game, if you go into this with the assumption of it just being solely a hardcore fear inducer, you're gonna be bored stiff. Like, you were going to be snoozing the whole way through that. You're gonna be bored to tears if that's the way you enter it. Now, if like me, you enter it with the worst opinion of it possible, that it's going to just be an unmitigated disappointment, you'll be surprised then. Pleasantly, even. Now, I'm going to be real with you. I'm a coward. By every definition, practically to a point of me acting as a literal picture definition for a yellow-bellied pansy. I'm typically that image. Probably crying, holding a stuffed green frog, curled up in a corner somewhere. That's kind of the way of it. When it comes down to it, unmitigated courage is the farthest thing from me. When it comes down to it, this game, though, does kind of put some fear into people like me who are easily terrified. If you're like me and you jump at some of the most blatant, boring, and obvious jump scares, this is the game for you. Because it'll have just enough to scare the shite out of you and probably make you jolt back and hurt your back in the process. Like I did. Yeah. When it comes down to it, this game is a pretty wild ride if you go in with low or just meh expectations. If you keep your expectations tamed and within reason, you will like it. You will. Especially if, like I said, if you're someone like me who's really easily terrified, you're going to like the game then. A lot. Because it's going to have just enough of that fear to scare the crap out of you, but enough of everything else to keep you from just dropping the game like a sack of potatoes. I think if I had to simplify this as best as I can, this game is an 8 out of 10. Now, why an 8 out of 10, you might be asking? Well, as much as I gave it a lot of praise just now, I'm about to give it some more praise, then smack it upside the head. So forgive me if you feel I'm being a bit too rough, but I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes down to it, at the end of the day, this was a fun ride. By all definitions, a fun ride. With just enough Who? Wait, what? Huh? Huh? To a point of where I wasn't really able to, for a while, easily predict the overall writing. In fact, it pulls about 4 different instances where I wouldn't have guessed that at all. Why the hell did I guess that? When it comes down to this, as much as I gotta give credit to the writers. You guys did a good job. You guys did a good job. You managed to do just enough horror into your writing to a point where I, a pansy, get startled half to death, yell out the F-bomb, while at the same time jerking my body back hard enough to cause physical pain and discomfort for a little bit. Good job on scaring the shite out of me. 10 out of 10. Marvelous job. Really. But at the end of the day, as much as I do applaud your writing, I applaud your music. I applaud the guys who are in charge of the bosses and some of the smaller fights and the one free DLC mini boss. Y'all did good. Y'all did get a pat on the back and maybe even a raised level of good. I'm floored with how well you guys did. Especially since the game really, from my knowledge, got pretty much no marketing, apparently. If it wasn't for me literally stumbling onto this by accident on Gamefly, I'd never know this existed. I kind of want to know who's the marketing department because clearly they didn't hustle your game anywhere near good enough. Hell no. They clearly decided to take the cheapest, easiest, laziest route to me. I mean, why is it that what little info is here in marketing, why is it just 2, 3 videos? It's not much to run off of. It really isn't. Like I said, if it wasn't for me stumbling on it by accident on Gamefly, I'd never know this existed. And that would have sucked. Because holy crap, this is a pretty solid AF game with a lot of potential. With only 2 main major issues. Just 2. I'm used to games having almost triple, 6 times, 8 times. Hell, in the case of Cyberpunk and freaking Outriders, I had literally over 50 to 60 times as many issues in those games. And those are current games. This is an older game. Yeah, arguably it's working with less technology being used up, sure. It's not having as much resources being needed, sure. But at least this game is not a fugly mess upon release. Apparently, this game released pretty well. Yeah, with some issues, but apparently, just not that many. I had to dig for an hour just to find 2 issues. 2 issues. The hell? 2 issues? Really? That's it? That's it? The hell? Dang, that's a solid release date if you ask me. Especially compared to, like I said, the 2 biggest offenders right now. Here's the biggest issues. And yes, this is going to get a little spoilery. And then it's going to get big spoilery. Now, I want to start with the little spoilers. For a very specific reason. The little spoiler is something that I love in other games. It's something that I always find to be a lovely touch, and it's something that, to me, is something that needs to be explored more often and better in gaming. If you know me, you already have a guess, you cheeky little sucker, you. That's right, romance. Now, romance in this game is a colossal, unmitigated, unnatural, high-grade, premium level of disappointment. Yeah. I think I actually miss some of the worst games I've ever played. I almost missed Fatal Bullet. No, that's a horrible feeling. That's an even more gross sentence. When I start to miss what is arguably one of the worst, until this, worst uses of romance in a game, that's saying something, oh my god. I've seen tragedies, I've seen pathetic attempts at trying to forcibly inject romance into games. And here's the thing, this is one of the ones that hurts the most because there's potential there. There's a chance to make an amazing knockout game, but they have two instances of complete wasted potential. Wasted potential. Ugh, that's just so stupid. Who thought this was a good idea? Who greenlit it to have these two issues? Because you're stupid. You're stupid, alright? You are high grade, primo levels of stupid. You are stupid with a side of stupid sauce, okay? You're dumb to an epic, unnatural level if you thought this was a good idea. I'm dumbfounded. I want to know who... Did someone get fired and replaced? What happened here? What the hell happened? The two big issues, like I said, are romance, that completely feels neutered, gutted, bare bones, even though it has the potential to be amazing. Literally, they spend pretty much more than half of the game setting up romances. They set up a couple romances for the co-main star. They set up plethora. I can't emphasize that word, much less spell it hard enough. All right, I can't do it. Okay, there are literally, at the bare minimum, of a total of 9 different characters who are all written in a way that screams romance me. Really? Really right now? This is the way you want to play it? Really? Literally, each and every single romance boils down at the end of a single, or even, if you're lucky, 3 lines? How dare you reach so high? Oh my god, are you stupid? Literally just 3 lines, that's all it boils down to. And let me guess, in the second game I'm probably going to be either as disappointed or worse. Aren't I? What bothers me is there's so much of the entire game dedicated to literally hammering home the idea you're going to be able to romance these chicas. Possibly even the dude. If it's done well, I don't give an F. There's a reason why I jokingly call myself in other games the man-ho, because I pretty much am the first one out of every single person I know who does romance games. I'm typically the first one to romance everybody that moves, walks, breathes. That's just the universal truth that I've come to accept, that I'm going to be known for this kind of crap, and to be honest with you, I don't care anymore. The second, and this one's huge, this is a giant waste of potential once again. Now, as you're playing the whole game, you're typically playing the game as such. You are playing a character from Japan, a video game developer. Okay, cool. That's something a little different. It's not entirely different in itself, but it's still a cool idea that I'm down for. I'm down for trying it out. Yeah. But they decide to, as they've gotten used to this whole idea of you're playing a character who's a video game developer who's trying to help save people from VR gone wrong because of abuse. Does this disgustingly remind me of other games that I don't like? I mean, it doesn't even do the kindness of at least reminding me of Dot Hack. It just reminds me of SAO, especially in the writing department of that one scene even. That one scene being where it decides to go really meta and Deus Ex and decides to, let's make it so the real world that you've been playing in and the video game world you've been trying to help chicas get out of blend into one thing. Okay, but why is it just an art backdrop? Why isn't it an actual map? Why isn't it an actual map that you actually explore? Do something. Hell, you even make a big show of the dude main character getting a knife and having to infiltrate this place quickly and quietly with tons of monsters and psychotic researchers who are trying to literally screw around with the world and pretty much do this horrible crap. And all you got is a pitiful knife, and you have to deal with monsters and psychotic researchers. And you have to save people on top of that pressure. It sounds like it's something that screams a stealth section, or maybe a cool little moment where it's kind of like a little bit like Metal Gear, where you're kind of stealthing, hiding, waiting for the right moments to strike at a weak spot, and then keep going as you make your way to your objective. Is that what happens? No, it doesn't. Not remotely. No, that's not what happens at all. Oh, you wanted that to happen? Chill, you stupid. Nah, that ain't what they do. Nah, it's literally just an expo dump section with a different backdrop. An expo dump. Really? Just an expo dump. That's it. That's all this section amounts to? Expo and gone? Really? I would have liked it if maybe this was some kind of a new gameplay style that's getting introduced for the specific main character who you never get to play as. Despite the fact that you're supposed to try and put yourself in his shoes is what's heavily hinted at. Eventually you get a different hint that says something else, but I digress. My problem here is something that sounds simple on paper. But apparently it's too much to be asked for, I guess. What I would have liked is for this segment to actually be a moment where you take direct control of the dude MC himself and guide him along through this treacherous, highly intense, and very risky, high-grade mission where you're trying to stealth your way through an army of monsters and psychotic researchers. Did I mention monsters and psychotic researchers? Why the hell is this scene not interactable at all, aside from the expo dump? Why? It doesn't help that this game has other issues. Now, this issue, to me, is big, but might not be big to someone who's already decided just to drop the money anyways and get the second game now. This is something that may be fixed in the second game for all that I know as of this moment, as of this video being uploaded. I have no clue yet. To be honest with you, it kind of sucks, though, having this annoying little bug fester inside my head that's screaming to me that, hey, you know what's going to happen now. You know exactly how this is going to end. You already know you're going to be disappointed. You already know that it's not going to make the improvements necessary to take the game from an 8 to where it easily could have wound up at, which was a 10. This game could have been a 10 out of 10 game. But between wasted potential, thought processes in the way wrong areas, and might I repeat, because of them repeating this mistake twice, wasted potential. You have this scene where now the real world, the video game's version of the real world and the video game's version of the video game bleed together into one thing, and it's meaningless. It's just expo dump. That sucks, man. Then throw in the fact that the romances really are just a couple lines. Each character. If you're lucky, really lucky, you'll get, drumroll, 4 lines total. What the hell, man? Why 4 total lines for both characters that each, the character you play as and the character you decided to get the ending of? You set up these romances and you set them up really well, and then you kind of just sweep the rug out from everyone's feet who were expecting a romance that meant something, that had some impact, that had some weight, that was actually meaningful, that had an actual payoff, that was actually going to be relevant in the next game. When it wasn't, which kind of sucks. I want to be talking positively about this because of how much fun I had, but at the same time, though, the core problem is at the end of the day, 2 wasted potentials and a cliffhanger ending that I will have to wait until I can rent the next game for. Now, maybe if I spent $60 on this game, maybe I'd be reviewing it point or two harder. But right now, considering I was able to get it, like I said, for rental, I didn't mind it as much. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm going to sweep it all under the rug. That's not how I work. That's not how I operate. Alright? I'm not. If I say something sucks, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel it sucks. And it sucks getting to these endings and finding out they're more or less just a couple lines each. Sometimes 4 lines each. Wee. Great. Swell. Fantastic. Where's the nearest noose again? I had a pretty lovely little glow-in-the-dark noose. Where did I put that? Can't remember. Oh well. When it comes down to it, I hate the fact that this game just kind of, at the end, takes the easy route. I don't even know if this is the same writers, which is crazy. That's how big the gap is between the writing that happened through 90% of the road as opposed to the last 10% of the way through. And yes, I did just say 100%. As of this video, probably by the time this video is uploaded, I'll probably be more than halfway through getting my plat for this game. Which, keep in mind, I'm willing to get the plat, despite it wasn't that big of a trick to get it, really. It just means getting all the character endings, go through the Tower of Pain, unlock other endings. That's about it. That's literally it. Alright? And I'm willing to do them because at least everything else was so fun, even though the ending is where I kind of just decided to say, screw it, and kind of do something else as I meet the requirements needed. Stuff like watch other videos, or watch other videos and do some grind in other games. At the end of the day, as much as I want to talk positively, I want to say positives only. That's not this freaking version. I kind of can't wait to see the sequel, but at the same time, I'm kind of nervous inside because I'm braced for disappointment. I'm braced to start it up, find out that it's either going to be just some spiritual sequel despite being labeled as the opposite, or worse, it's just going to have everything be completely wiped away like it never happened, and then I have to pretty much go through the game again, get to the end, find out that it's just more disappointment, and then wonder why I even bothered getting my hopes up. That's what I fear right now. Man, that part sucks. Like, deep inside, that like tears up a little bit because there's so much potential here. There is a 10 out of 10 game, but we have to fix up that last 10% of the game. That's the problem, is we have to fix that last 10% to turn this into the 10 out of 10 game it could and should have been. Which kind of drives me nuts. And I'm already mentally insane anyways. I don't need the help. Thank you. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boys. It's gonna probably be a while before my next video. For about 3 different reasons. 1, I'm gonna get the plat for this game. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna get the plat for this game. That's just happening. 2nd, you have to keep in mind that I'm going to rent the second game based off of how disappointed I was with the ending. So dropping money on an old game where the odds of it being continued are very low is already pretty low on my odds of happening this. Yeah, when it comes down to it, if by some ritualistic voodoo black magic bribed by the frickin' who knows who, pick an organization of your choosing. Mason is I don't give a F. Pick whoever you want. When it comes down to it, for the next game, I would like better character endings, better written, better in quality as a whole, really. One thing that'd be really awesome is actually fully animated cutscenes. You know, bring this game into the modern era. You know, since it's no longer 2016 anymore, which this game kind of feels like it should have been released about around then. So, yeah. When it comes to it, if you're someone who loves JRPGs that have some horror in them, but not so much to a point where you feel like you're playing like an Insidious the game or none of that crap. No. You're wanting just enough fear to just give you a jolt, but not enough to actually drop the game. Then this is for you. You're gonna love it then. But don't put all your eggs into the basket of the ending or the character endings or the last 10% of the game's actual story. Don't expect this cool little crossover moment between the real and virtual worlds. Don't expect either of those two things to really be the thing that keeps you locked in on this game. What is going to keep you playing this game is that the characters, up to that 90%, are really well written. Plenty of the terror moments do a good enough job of scaring the crap out of a pansy like me, even if they'll be boring to hardcore terror fans. So it's a battle if you want like true fear or you wanting just a jolt. It's definitely worth renting, beyond doubt. Like, even though I'm disappointed with the ending, I'm disappointed with the character endings, I'm disappointed with this whole crossover moment that's just a backdrop and literally nothing else, I do feel this is worth a rental. I definitely do feel like it's worth renting. Doesn't matter how you rent it, how you go about renting it. It's definitely worth renting, though. I do recommend it strongly because even though I can't give it higher than an 8, it still manages to latch on to that 8, that 8 number really firmly. Especially since there's no multiplayer, really. Even though I kind of feel like that would have been kind of awesome. Imagine a kind of a detective victim moment where one person's playing as the guy trying to help this group through the virtual reality world, while another person's playing as the victims that have been dragged into the virtual world. I feel like that would have been awesome and really cool, really would have fleshed out, really would have helped a lot. Would have been an awesome dope mode, as opposed to buffing your codes, your hackings, which I had to force myself to use them because I never needed them. And don't complete, unless you're going for plat, don't do the Tower of Pain. Just don't. It'll ruin your game. The reason why is because you can quickly gain 100 levels just from going through that alone. So imagine doing that when you're level 67, and all of a sudden, now I'm level 199, and climbing. Now, there's another thing to just keep in mind. Before the next video is going to be, like I said, a long wait, so I'm sorry for that, truly. It's just going to be waiting on the plat, and then for however long it takes for the rental for the second game to come through, which I don't really know how long that'll take. I can guess, but it'll be wrong. This has been Gaming King. I hope you laughed with me, laughed with me, and maybe laughed at my English flub up I just did, or maybe even laugh at the fact that I literally can't do anything about the God rays from hell. I'll see you all next time. See you.